What makes us so different in the animal kingdom? We are the only species that can comfortably maintain 150 stable relationships. This is the base that has allowed us to form a neural network of connections and build societies so vast and multi-diverse.
That in mind, you can only imagine how devastating it was for people to go from this to this.
After running a survey among Concordia students to see how isolation has been affecting them, we found that 89% of participants say they found it difficult to stay motivated and productive.
73% of participants strongly agreed that they felt disconnected from their friends.
84% of participants said they wanted to learn how to be motivated and productive.
My name is Ashraf, and I want to talk about mental health.
My name is Christina, and I want to open the conversation about saving our planet one household at a time.
My name is Agathe, and I want to talk about equal opportunities for all and educating our youth.
My name is Lukman, and I want to start the conversation.
How are you? No, how are you really? How often do you answer this question truthfully?
1 in 5 people will struggle with their mental health at one point in their life. 60% of people with a mental health problem or illness won't seek help for fear of being labeled.
Staying silent kills.
Being confined all alone in their rooms, millions of students turn to the best distraction there is, their phones.
In order to compensate for the lack of socialization in our new normal, people are coping by spending more time than ever on the internet.
We found that there was a chance to educate people and give them an outlet through social media. By providing comfort and being relatable, we could reassure them that they're not alone.
Our project Vive is here to help.
In French, Vive means long live. Our purpose is to help people thrive and sustain an open-mindedness towards mental health. In order to do so, Project Vive believes in fighting the stigma at its core by encouraging students to be vulnerable about their own experiences.
We knew we wanted a safe environment to foster connections, and so we launched our Don't Bottle It Up photo series in 2019.
Students were invited to send us a picture and a message that they wanted to share regarding their mental health journey.
As of now, over 60 stories have been shared on our social media from a variety of experiences such as living with trauma, learning to cope with a mental illness, self-growth, and so much more.
This has given exposure to so many students that can relate to the emotions and experiences that their peers have lived through. During this time of isolation, the need for empathy and solidarity is craved even more. And our initiative has been able to fulfill this void for all of the students following our page.
Having to find resources and a community is more crucial than ever. So not only did we want to share stories, but we started sharing resources and tips. We spoke about men's and women's mental health, self-care, productivity, isolation, stress, and burnout.
We saw how well our photo series went, so we wanted to do even more for these students. Introducing our Don't Bottle It Up event, an open discussion where we invite guest speakers to share their stories.
This in-person event was so memorable and reminded us that people do want to talk about mental health. They just needed the right environment to do so. While planning our 4th Don't Bottle It Up event this year, we adapted to our new reality. We knew that people urgently needed mental health support.
Many students had been deprived of being able to socialize in a way that inspired deep conversations, so we embraced it. We recreated physical cues by asking participants to use reactions on Zoom and encouraging them to turn on their cameras to mimic an in-person experience. For many, this was a mental health check.
We were pleased to see that the dynamic created allowed for the 70 participants to interact in the chat box or unmute themselves and add on to the speakers.
After opening up the floor for attendees, many of them felt encouraged to spontaneously share their own mental health journeys.
Hi, I'm Pamela Pagano, and it was such an honor for me to be a speaker at this year's Don't Bottle It Up event. It was such a beautiful, safe space created by the Vive team that made me feel comfortable to share my story and for many others to share theirs too. I was truly inspired, and I look forward to partake in next year's as well.
We wanted to organize something special for this year's Don't Bottle It Up event, so we decided to host a fundraiser for Head and Hands, a Montreal-based non-for-profit organization that provides medical, legal, and social services to youth under the age of 25.
So, how did we raise the funds? By working with local Montreal businesses, we reached out to the owners, and with their collaboration, we were able to sell tote bags, bracelets, and keychains that best represented Vive.
The fundraiser ended up exceeding our expectations and enabled us to foster relationships with local organizations.
We also took it upon ourselves to educate students on one of the biggest struggles during the pandemic: managing productivity and fighting procrastination.
We collaborated with Jack.org, one of the biggest mental health organizations for the youth in Canada, to host a mental health summit. The attendees were shown how to bring awareness to one's current state of mental health, identify reasons for procrastinating, and ways to overcome lack of motivation.
This year, we impacted and left our mark on over 110 of the participants at our online events. We now have 243 followers on our Instagram and 522 followers on our Facebook page, with a reach of over 700 people every month, creating content 3 times a week and sparking live discussions on our social media. This year, we've been able to influence more than 5,200 people.
What's next for Vive?
We started a spin-off version of the Don't Bottle It Up series. The aim of our new Dear Diary series is to invite anybody to anonymously write a paragraph in Vive's virtual diary and having it shared on our platform.
We hope to have our 5th annual Don't Bottle It Up event in person. By continuing our collaboration with small local businesses, we will collect funds and give them back to our community.
We won't stop there. 2021 will be the year we focus on educational workshops about therapy and trauma. We want to make talking about mental health openly the reality for the youth of our future.
How else can we support today's youth? Nationals-Concordia is focused on opening up the conversation to break the stigma, identify discrimination, and end inequality.
I've been with Codel for almost 3 years as head coder, and I've had the privilege of seeing the organization grow tremendously. From teaching students in a small lab on campus, to teaching at the Montreal Planetarium, and to finally handling the pandemic and working on successful webinars, the organization has grown tremendously. As Codel grew, I could also see that the girls grew more interested in learning how to code, and this was especially evident over the past year.
Project Codel is not only trying to even out the current gender gap in computer science, it also aims to empower young individuals. We want to show young girls they can combine their passion with technology.
In 2017, only 17% of Quebec's computer science majors were women, falling below the national rate of 20%. The long-standing gender gap in the tech workforce hasn't changed. It has in fact worsened over the last 10 years.
Girls are typically intimidated to pursue coding education in co-ed environments. Virtual classrooms limit their participation and decrease their motivation.
We knew that we had found an idea that could change the lives of young girls in the STEM field.
In 2018, Codel started offering free monthly coding workshops to high school girls, mentored by computer science students from Concordia's Women in Engineering.
By developing a 5-year partnership with Le Planetarium Montréal to host our workshops, we had the opportunity to cater to all ages and triple our monthly attendance.
Olivier Hernandez, the director of the planetarium, believed in Codel's vision. Through his studies, he found out that girls as early as the age of 10 are uncomfortable sharing their voice when working with a boy.
Winning an Actus Scotiabank Youth Empowerment Challenge in 2020 was not the end for us. This year showed us that girls not only needed resources, they needed to find motivation and meaning.
We continued our workshops virtually through an online coding platform. With the help of Concordia computer science students, we have enriched the curriculum from HTML and JavaScript all the way to Python. We came up with engaging activities to encourage girls to interact with us throughout the workshops.
This year, we opened the discussion about the gender gap even more. We decided to focus on what women from the STEM field are experiencing.
We hosted a webinar in order to spread knowledge and educate people about the reality of being a woman in this industry. In contrast to our workshops that are only open to females, our webinar was accessible to everyone.
Closing the gender gap needs the attention of each and every one of us. Throughout the workshop, we heard from speakers such as the CEO and co-founder of Le Wagon Montréal, the director of the Rio Tinto Alcan Montréal Planetarium, a backend developer at Shopify, a programmer at Ubisoft, and our very own Concordia woman in an engineering students.
We had the opportunity to collaborate on 2 more projects with Le Wagon Montréal throughout the year, a female-only workshop and the data analysis bootcamp.
Our visibility increased more and more throughout the year.
We directly impacted 347 girls this year. On one social media post alone, we had 5,632 interactions from people ready to talk about the gender gap.
So, what's next for Codel? After a year of studying, working, and living online, we noticed that learning how to code alone in our room is not an easy task.
We are currently launching a series of 10 videos of tips and tricks about coding. This way, girls will have access to resources at any time. We are creating a podcast with powerful women from the STEM field to learn more about their experience in the tech field and to give young females role models.
Beyond coding, Codel ensures that women do not fall behind in tomorrow's workforce, making tomorrow's female tech executives today.
Our impact does not stop there.
Project Instep focuses on opening up the conversation to promote equal opportunities for all.
Project Educo focuses on opening up the conversation to educate our youth.
Project Embellir focuses on opening up the conversation about saving our planet.
At Nationals-Concordia, we can create positive change in the world. However, we cannot do this alone.
We need you to help us continue the conversation.
Let's talk.